I do have a question right now.
Hmm.
Might be an example of that. I don't know. The biological weapons in Ukraine, actually, about approximately day three of the war, I was at work. Um, I work on a dock, or I worked on a dock then, so like truck driving and forklift driving. So,
Hmm.
we all are together out there. And one person came in and said, the Russians want the biological weapons.
Right.
So,
That they invented.
right.
So
But,
this
the
is another
difficult,
example, right? I'll give you some background on that, right?
yeah,
So
but I'm wondering, like, do I, by us talking about it, are we giving it more airtime than it deserves?
right.
Um, but on the other hand, um, for me, I want to have as many people on my
Hmm.
side as I can.
Right.
I don't want to
So
alienate people.
biological weapons, right?
Mhm.
The story of that
So
was
basically, I don't want to
classical,
disrespect anybody.
right?
Yeah.
Classic Russian narrative of taking partial truth and turning it into, a complete nonsense lie. End of the Soviet Union, um, America provided this program to decrease the stockpiles of, Soviet biological weapons on the territory of the entire Soviet Union, including Russia, Kazakhstan, Belarus, Ukraine, the whole of the 15 republics that were, that then became independent states. So those were Soviet labs, and the mission of the program was to deactivate, destroy the Soviet, you know, leftovers, basically. And those are the labs that, there is a map on I think on the Department of State, or there's a map of all these labs, all over the former Soviet Union that American government has helped to create to destroy these weapons, right? And they were destroyed, the vast majority of them. And then those labs turned into something like vaccine research centers, like they were actually involved in tracking this, pathogens of COVID, right? Whether it was the Delta variant. So these labs exist, right? Everywhere in the former Soviet Union. And the Russian propaganda turned this into, oh, Ukraine is developing biological weapons, and which is a complete nonsense. The labs exist just like they exist in all of these countries, and they have nothing to do with developing weapons. Their original mission was to destroy them, and they did. And the problem was that Russian news media was still part of Reuters, so the news that they release is, that's it's released worldwide. So then some of that gets picked up by American news outlets, and that's the origin of that story.
Right. I assumed that might have been how that story came to be, um, because the Soviet Union had a secret biological weapons program, right? At the time that Gorbachev and Reagan were negotiating with each other
Mhm.
about nuclear arms, Gorbachev had a secret biological weapons program. The United States and probably, I don't know, other countries in the world also at that time were concerned not just about that program, but also
Mhm.
about, the nuclear weapons and
Right, and
making
that
sure
is why that is
secure.
why there was this agreement that Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Belarus, all of the countries in the former Soviet Union where these weapons were stationed, so they would be gathered, in Russia, and that also happened. The transfer happened, and in fact, Russia signed an agreement stating it would respect Ukrainian territory. Because once you give up the nuclear status, then
Right.
you don't have the same protection against invasion as you would, have you had nuclear weapons. And that has also proven disastrous and, a lesson to most countries in the world. I think now no country will give up, nuclear weapon programs, and this is why probably Iran is so insistent on keeping their program, and lots of these countries, once they have it, there's no way they will give it, to anyone, because of the fact that when you don't have nuclear weapons, you have no protection against nuclear states.
Yeah, it's a terrible lesson to be learning,
Yeah.
because actually I did want to ask you, I imagine gentlemen's wars. Like the world that I would like to live in is a world without nuclear weapons.
Right.
I don't imagine that we can never have war. So I imagine that wars will be fought. They've always been fought,
Mhm.
but they're fought with rules, and there's a winner and there's a loser.
Right, without destroying the planet Earth
Yes.
and life on
Yes.
it. My hope also, and I think we have a chance to get closer to that goal by Ukrainian army winning and Russia crippled by sanctions, and forced to give up nuclear weapons in exchange to get admitted to, to the free world, to the trade. I think it should be a privilege to be a part of the civilized world, and right now I think there is a chance of actually transforming Russia into you know, a better acting country as a result of this war. And with their economy severely crippled, there may be a chance to actually say, all right, guys, you've proven that you cannot be trusted. You have to give up your weapons to start selling your oil and gas and diamonds and metals back, and freely on the global market.
Right.
Because otherwise, you'll go back to Stone Age economically.